This is the exact step-by-step guide you need to know in order to recover from chronic fatigue syndrome. Number 1, stop looking for the cure from your doctor. This is one of the biggest traps that most people fall into when they go through chronic fatigue syndrome, and it's not your fault, because this medical system has let you down. If you think about it, when you grew up, you were told that when you got sick, you should go to the doctor, and the doctor will give you the pill and you'll take it and then you'll get better from whatever you're going through. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that for chronic fatigue syndrome recovery. In fact, what you need to realize is that you are the cure for your recovery from chronic fatigue syndrome, and that recovery is actually a rehabilitation process of the brain and the body. Now, I know that might sound far-fetched and you might be thinking, but how? Don't worry, over the next few steps, you're going to learn exactly what to do in order to help yourself get healthy and start living again. Number 2. Recovery is a rehabilitation process of the brain and the body. And if you think about it, chronic fatigue syndrome affects every aspect of your health and your life. Not only does it affect your immune system, it affects your nervous system, it affects your circadian rhythm, it affects everything. Not only that, but it also affects your emotional well-being too. It affects how you feel, it affects your mood. It's really hard going through something like chronic fatigue syndrome because you've literally lost your old identity of who you are, and you can feel very lost and very isolated here. What we need to do is realize that the process of recovery is in fact a rehabilitation process. And what we want to do is rehabilitate the brain and the body to start to adapt to stimulus appropriately. And this is why we need to see recovery as a process versus a pill or a potion that you take once and get better. There is simply no quick fix or overnight cure for this. What we really need to do here is to reverse engineer what chronic fatigue syndrome has done to you. So we need to recondition the nervous system. We can recondition your gut health. We can recondition your muscles again and restore energy back in the system. Now, of course, this doesn't happen overnight, but it certainly will happen over time. And once you implement these key areas of recovery, you'll start to notice true, tangible progress, both physically and cognitively. And I know what it's like. When you begin your recovery journey, you feel like you're doing all the right things, but you're still not making any progress. You literally feel like you're going around in circles and wondering, is this even working? I surveyed over 500 members who I'm working with right now who are recovering from chronic fatigue syndrome, and we compiled all their answers on the 277 signs of real tangible recovery to know when you're progressing. You can get this for free right now if you comment the word 277 below, and we'll send this over to you for free. You can print this out, and to make sure you can kind of use it as a benchmark, am I actually making progress? Number 3. When it comes to making progress from your chronic fatigue syndrome recovery, the most important thing you can do initially is to stop the push-crash cycle that's probably happening in your life right now. And this is where you wake up, you feel relatively okay, and you go and be Superman or Superwoman, and you go from zero to hero overnight, and you do heaps and heaps and heaps of energy output. And then of course your brain and your body starts crashing, and this is where what we call going into the valley of death. And this is what it feels like. You actually feel like you're kind of dying. Your muscles are flaring up, you're in a lot of pain, probably headaches are persistent, and you're just feeling completely exhausted. We want to eliminate the push-crash cycle completely so you can stabilize your energy levels and start to make progress. When it comes to doing that, we need to enable you to have your current baseline, which is going to help you stop the push-crash cycle completely. This will help stabilize your current baseline and then enable you to make progress consistently so you're not going up and down like a yo-yo. Now, you might be thinking, what the hell is baseline? Baseline is being able to do what you can currently do without feeling any worse than you do. This is not about having heaps of more energy or being able to do heaps more than you normally can do. It's about doing what you can do consistently every single day that's appropriate for your current capacity so you can stabilize your current level of health and therefore build upon it. Number 4 is having a holistic approach to recovery and not just trying to attack one thing, thinking that's going to cure all your problems. This is the biggest mistake most people make when it comes to their recovery. They put all of their eggs in one basket of recovery and wonder why they're not making any progress. It's simply because, again, you're not reverse engineering the effects of what chronic fatigue syndrome has done on your entire system. It's never just one thing that helps people get better. It's always a multifaceted approach that helps you get better. And this is where we need to look at 3 key areas. We need to look at quality sleep and rest. Restorative rest that's actually regenerating and restoring energy back into your system. Number 2, food is fuel. So nutrition, making sure that we're eating the adequate amount of healthy whole foods that is going to restore energy into our system too. And number 3, it's about doing a restorative movement process that actually restores energy into the system, but also reconditions your body appropriately so you have the strength and stamina and capacity to do more without feeling any worse. And again, it takes a multifaceted approach. The key here is that you're doing the nuanced amount for you based off your current capacity. Now, there's 3 stages of recovery. There's the acute stage, is what we call the restore stage. This is where you're suffering at the highest level, your symptoms are at the highest level, and you're ultimately struggling. Usually people here are bedbound or housebound, and they're finding it really difficult to even function. So in that case, we need to restore as much energy as we possibly can. The second stage is the re-strengthen phase. And this is where we want to re-strengthen the body and the brain back into good health. Now, this is a building block time where we maintain your current level of capacity and then progress your current level of capacity, both physically and cognitively. And then lastly, is the fun stage. It's the reintegration stage where you get to integrate back into life and you start to get to choose the fun challenges that you want to partake in, that you can grow as a person and actually use your energy output for things that you love again. And this is where you really become healthy and start living again. In a moment, I'll share with you exactly how to make sure you're effectively progressing both physically and cognitively. But before we do that, number 5 is emotional and mental well-being. Now, of course, you've probably been told that chronic fatigue syndrome is all in your head, that you're making this up and that you just need to motivate yourself. That couldn't be further from the truth. And so you need to understand that chronic fatigue syndrome is a neurological illness. It's definitely a physical illness that you're going through. However, we do know that mental emotional well-being is going to affect how you feel. And so we do need to look at this, particularly around your identity from your old self and losing that identity, and also the acceptance piece, realizing that acceptance isn't resignation, but also it's the starting point of your recovery. When you finally let go of trying to find and chase the old and instead you decide to build the new, that's when recovery can really start to happen. If we look at emotional well-being, we're looking at how to let go of limiting beliefs that no longer serve us. It's about letting go of the old identity and building the new. It's about really setting boundaries and honoring yourself and not being a people pleaser. You know, typically we see so many people that come to us and get our help is that they're type A perfectionists, they're people pleasers, and they're constantly, putting themselves last. Always. And they find it very hard to ask for help. They find it very hard to even put themselves first or at least equal to everyone around them. And so this is where emotional well-being and mindset does play a role in your recovery. Number 6, progressive overload in key areas of recovery. Progressive overload is a concept where we're overloading the brain and the body appropriately based off your current level of health and well-being, and then going to the next level in an appropriate way so your brain and body can respond appropriately and function healthfully. And so if you think about physical and cognitive, let's start there. We don't want to go from 0 to hero overnight, right? You don't want to go from doing, let's say, 10 minutes of study or 1 hour's worth of work and then jumping up to 1 hour's worth of study or 10 hours worth of work. Instead, you want to build a process and a routine and a structure that enables you to maintain your new level of progress in your area of recovery, whether it's physical or cognitive. And you want to maintain that new level for a minimum of 2 to 4 weeks. When you maintain it for 2 to 4 weeks, provided that your health is maintaining, meaning that you're not getting sick with colds and flus or having heaps of ups and downs, that's when you can progress to the next level. Our recommendation is 5 to 10% initially increasements of progressive overload from what you're currently doing. Now, you might be thinking, but that's just such a small amount of number. I'd rather be safe and effective than dangerous and set you back for longer. And so it's really important that you have a less is more approach just initially so we can stabilize your health and then progress. Ultimately, what we're doing here is building the blocks of stability so you can progress. But you can't build a foundation upon a foundation without your first layer of stability there. And it's kind of like a house. If you think about a really steady house, has really good foundations, and then you can build a second story and a third story and so on. But if you've got shaky foundations, it is not smart to add progressive overload to any area of your recovery if your foundations aren't solid first. Number 7, this is one that so many people don't realize is possible, but is so vital for recovery. And that's actually integrating into life and actually not focusing on recovery. This is a really hard concept to get your head around, particularly if you've been literally in the recovery mode for a long period of time. You've almost put up a bubble around you. We call it the recovery bubble. But eventually, as you start to progress, you kind of need to burst that bubble, and you need to put one foot out of the bubble onto the mainland of life. And then as you start to do that, you want to put the second foot out, and you want to slowly come out of the bubble and start to open up your life in the key different areas that you want to pursue in your life. And this is what's going to happen as you naturally start to progress in all areas of recovery, is that life is going to start to happen. More socializing, more friendships, study, work, career, parenthood. We help grandmas inside our program. We help teenagers, sports people, getting back into the things that you love, hiking, running, weight training, traveling the world. There's so many things that can start to happen as you naturally get healthy and start living again. But as you do that, you have to start to let go of focusing on your recovery. And really a key tip here is to replace the word recovery care with self-care. I always say that help is a forever thing, but recovery doesn't have to be. And when you use that frame, you can start to really embed that, and you can start to differentiate between normal tiredness and chronic fatigue syndrome tiredness. And as you get healthier and start living again, you're going to notice that you're only going to experience more normal tiredness, what the general healthy population feel after doing certain things, versus chronic fatigue syndrome tiredness, which is exacerbated symptoms, obviously feeling worse after doing things, and generally, having an ongoing onset of symptoms that are persisting for time that aren't functional or actually aren't appropriate based off what you're doing day to day with your current capacity. And so again, this can be a little bit scary, right? Like you're probably feeling a bit of fear here, worry, anxiety. And this is where we really want to have confidence and inner certainty in our ability, in our brain's ability and our body's ability to adapt appropriately. And ultimately what you've been doing and what you're going to be working on in these steps is doing exactly that. Really what we're doing is building more resiliency, more strength, more stamina, more capacity in your brain and your body so you can do the things you love without feeling any worse than you currently do. Here are 3 bonus tips that are going to help you with the 7 key tips of recovery. Number 1, environment is key. When I talk about environment, I'm talking about 2 things. I'm talking about your external environment, the place that you live in, what you're looking at, what you're surrounding yourself with, even your bedroom, even the people you speak to or listen to or even consume on YouTube like this make a difference to how you feel. And so it's really important that you become conscious of the environment that you're putting yourself in, both internally and externally. And the question you want to ask yourself is, is the environment that I'm putting myself in serving me and helping me go towards my goals and dreams? If it is, keep doing it. If it's not, it's time to change your environment. Number 2, don't measure time on your recovery. What you're going through is hard enough. To be honest, there's so much pressure, particularly internally and externally, around recovery. My invitation to you is drop the clock. Stop measuring time against recovery. Allow yourself and allow your brain and body to adapt appropriately based off where you're at. And little by little will become a lot. And this is why I always say to all of our clients, consistency over intensity is the key to recovery, right? Don't measure time, just focus on your consistency, and trust me, over time, the progress will start to come. Lastly, bonus tip number 3 is surround yourself with people who are at where you want to be at. This includes watching success stories. This includes surrounding yourself with people who are on the recovery journey and really building the belief within yourself that recovery is possible. But here's the thing, you need to know this. Even if you don't believe recovery is possible, it doesn't mean you can't start on your recovery today. You don't need to wait to believe fully that you're going to recover in order to start your recovery process. In fact, the thousands of people we work with and all the success stories that come all of them say the same thing. They say, I didn't believe that recovery is possible even when I started. Even 6 months into the program, even 12 months into the program, I still had doubts that I was going to fully get better, but I showed up anyway and I did the work. And what's crazy is over time, as these people got better and better and better, guess what happened? Their belief system got stronger and stronger and stronger because they had the evidence and they were seeing in real life the true tangible progress that was happening in front of their very eyes over time. And so surround yourself with success. Success leaves clues. And of course, remember, it's okay if you don't fully believe that it's possible for you. Still show up and do the work, because eventually, as you get better, you'll start to notice that you are actually getting better and you'll start to believe that it's possible for you too. If you love this video, I'd love you to hit the like button, and I'd actually love to hear from you in the comments. What was your biggest insight or takeaway from this video? I'd love to see it. I'm going to read through every single comment. So please comment right now. I'd love to know, what was your biggest insight or takeaway? And by you doing this and sharing this, it's not only going to help you, but it's actually going to help everybody else who's watching this video. And you guys can share and relate in the comments to help each other get healthy and start living again. We'll see you in the next video.